July 19th, 1975, Las Vegas Hilton, main showroom, 7:43 p.m. Elvis stands backstage, black jumpsuit, gold trim, eagle design across the chest. His band waits on stage. The audience waits beyond the curtain. 2,200 people, sold out, every seat filled. But Elvis doesn't move. He stares at the set list in his hand. One song circled in red ink. His most famous song. The one that made him a legend. The one he refuses to sing tonight. Colonel Tom Parker appears in the doorway, cigar in his mouth. Gray suit, red tie. His face is calm. Too calm. He walks toward Elvis. Slow steps. Deliberate. The band members watch through the stage door. They see what's coming. They've never seen this before. What happens in the next 16 minutes will reveal the prison Elvis lived in. Not built with bars, built with contracts, built with control, built with threats. Here is the story. The stage manager checks his watch. 7:45. Show starts in 15 minutes. Elvis should be warming up, should be reviewing the set, should be ready. He's not. He holds the set list. His hands don't shake. They're steady, deliberately steady. The set list reads, C.C. Ryder, I Got a Woman Love Me If You Love Me. Let Me Know. Hound Dog My Way. Suspicious Minds Hound Dog. Song number 5, circled in red. Colonel Parker's handwriting. Elvis stares at it. The song he's sung 10,000 times. The song that launched his career. The song he recorded in 1956, 19 years ago. The song that made him Elvis Presley. The song he's sick of singing. Charlie Hodge stands nearby, guitar in hand. He's been with Elvis since 1960, 15 years. He knows Elvis better than most. He sees the tension in Elvis's jaw, the way his shoulders are set, the way he holds that paper. Charlie. Elvis's voice is quiet. I'm not singing it. Charlie steps closer. Boss? Elvis looks up. Hound Dog. I'm not doing it tonight. Charlie says nothing. He's heard this before. Backstage in Memphis. Backstage in Lake Tahoe. Backstage in a dozen cities. Elvis always threatens. Elvis never follows through. Because the Colonel always appears. And the Colonel always wins. Footsteps echo in the hallway. Heavy. Slow. Colonel Parker enters the dressing room. He closes the door behind him. The sound echoes. Final. Definitive. He doesn't speak immediately. He removes his cigar, taps ash into a tray, replaces it in his mouth. Only then does he look at Elvis. Problem, my boy? Elvis doesn't look up. No problem, Colonel. Parker walks to the makeup mirror, adjusts his tie, studies his reflection. Then the show starts in 13 minutes. Elvis sets down the set list. I'm aware. Parker turns. So we're ready? Elvis meets his eyes. We're ready. Parker smiles. Good. He picks up the set list, sees Hound Dog circled. Everything looks perfect. Elvis's voice drops. Everything except that. Parker doesn't blink. Except what, my boy? Elvis points to the paper. That song. I'm not singing it. Silence. 5 seconds pass. 10. Parker's smile doesn't change, but something shifts in his eyes. Something cold. Something dangerous. He sets down the set list. Slowly. Carefully. My boy, we have a contract with the Hilton. Elvis stands straighter. I know. The contract specifies certain songs. I know. Songs the audience expects. I know. Songs we will perform. Elvis's jaw tightens. Not tonight. Parker takes a step forward. Tonight, tomorrow, every night. Elvis doesn't back down. I'm tired of it, Colonel. Parker's voice stays level. Tired? Elvis's voice rises slightly. Yes, tired. I've sung that song for 19 years. Parker nods slowly. And it's made you millions. It's made you millions. Parker's smile widens. Us, my boy. Us. Quick thought. Have you ever felt trapped in something you created? Drop a comment. The tension in the room thickens. Charlie Hodge looks away. The other musicians pretend to tune instruments. Nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants to be here, but nobody can leave. Parker walks to the window, looks down at the strip, lights flashing below, neon signs, crowds moving, money flowing. After a long moment, he speaks. His voice is different now, harder, colder. Let me tell you something, Elvis. He doesn't turn around. You think you're tired of Hound Dog? He takes a drag from his cigar. The audience down there? He points to the casino floor below. They paid $50 each to see you. That's $110,000 in ticket sales. Tonight alone. He turns to face Elvis. They didn't pay to see what you want. They paid to see Elvis Presley. The Elvis Presley they know. The Elvis Presley they remember. The Elvis who sings Hound Dog. Elvis's voice is steady. I'm more than one song, Colonel. Parker nods. Of course you are. He walks closer, but they don't know that. He taps Ash, and they don't want to know that. Elvis steps forward. Maybe they should. Parker's voice hardens. Maybe they shouldn't pay. Silence. The threat hangs in the air. Clear. Unmistakable. Parker continues. You want to change the set list? He picks up the paper. Fine. He tears it in half. No show. He tears it again. No audience. He drops the pieces. No money. Elvis stares at the torn paper on the floor. And when the Hilton sues us for breach of contract, when they ask for their $500,000 guarantee back, when word spreads that Elvis Presley is difficult, when venues stop booking you, he leans closer. What then, my boy? Elvis doesn't answer. The Colonel's voice drops to almost a whisper. You think you're tired of Hound Dog? Try being tired of eating. Try being tired of Graceland. Try being tired of supporting your father, your girlfriend, your daughter, your staff, your musicians, your lifestyle. He straightens up, because that's what happens when you don't sing what they came to hear. The room is absolutely silent. Even the musicians have stopped pretending to be busy. They're frozen, watching. This has never happened before. Not like this. Not in front of them. Jerry Sheff holds his bass. Ron Tutt sits at the drums. James Burton grips his guitar. They've played with Elvis since 1969. 6 years. They've seen arguments, disagreements, tension, but never a threat. Never this. Parker walks to the door, hand on the handle. He pauses. Doesn't turn around. Curtain goes up in 11 minutes, Elvis. You'll be on that stage. You'll smile. You'll move. And when Charlie plays those opening licks, he finally turns. You'll sing every goddamn word of Hound Dog. Or I walk out that door and cancel every show you have scheduled. Las Vegas, Lake Tahoe, Memphis, all of it. Gone. His eyes are ice. Your choice, my boy. He opens the door. Light floods in from the hallway. He steps through. The door closes. The light disappears. Elvis stands in silence. His band members don't move, don't speak, don't breathe. Charlie Hodge finally breaks the silence. His voice is barely audible. Boss? Elvis doesn't respond immediately. He walks to the chair, sits down heavily, stares at his reflection in the mirror. The black jumpsuit, the gold trim, the eagle spreading its wings across his chest, a symbol of freedom, on a man in chains. After a long moment, he speaks. Get ready. His voice is hollow. We go on in 10. To understand this moment, you need to understand 1955. Memphis, Tennessee. Sun Records, November. Elvis Presley is 20 years old. He's had some regional success. That's all right, Mama. Good rockin' tonight. Baby, let's play house. But he's still unknown nationally. Still driving a truck. Still living with his parents, still dreaming. Then Tom Parker arrives, Andreas Cornelis van Kuyk, born in the Netherlands, illegal immigrant to America, carnival worker, dog catcher, promoter, con man. He changed his name to Tom Parker, added the Colonel title himself, honorary at best, fabricated at worst. But the title gave him authority, and authority gave him power. He saw Elvis perform in August 1955, Overton Park Shell, Memphis. Elvis wore pink pants, black shirt, moved his hips, moved in ways white boys didn't move, sang in ways white boys didn't sing. The crowd went insane, girls screaming, boys staring, everyone transfixed. Parker saw something that night. Not just talent, not just charisma. He saw money, infinite money, a gold mine wrapped in pink pants and black hair. He approached Elvis's manager, Bob Neal, offered his services, connections, expertise, national promotion. By November, Parker was advising. By March 1956, he had full control. The contract they signed gave Parker 25% of Elvis's earnings. Industry standard was 10% to 15%. Parker negotiated 25%, then later 50%, half of everything Elvis made, half of every concert, half of every record, half of every movie, but Elvis signed it because Parker delivered. Within months, Elvis had a contract with RCA Records, $40,000 advance, unheard of for a new artist. Within a year, Elvis had a movie deal, Love Me Tender, $100,000 salary. Within 2 years, Elvis was the biggest star in America, possibly the world. Parker made it happen. Nobody could deny that. But there was a price. There was always a price with the Colonel. Parker controlled everything. Every song Elvis recorded, every movie Elvis made, every show Elvis performed, every interview Elvis gave, every photo that was published, every dollar that was earned. Total control. Absolute control. And in 1956, Elvis didn't mind. He was 21 years old, suddenly rich, suddenly famous, suddenly everything he'd ever dreamed. Why would he question it? But by 1975, 20 years later, Elvis was different. He was 40 years old. He'd made 31 movies, most of them garbage, musical comedies with thin plots and forgettable songs. Parker chose them all because they were easy to make, easy to sell, easy money. Elvis wanted to do dramatic films, serious roles. He wanted to be James Dean, Marlon Brando. Parker wanted him to be a product, reliable, marketable, safe. By 1975, Elvis was also tired, physically exhausted, emotionally drained, trapped in a cycle of touring, Las Vegas residencies, 2 shows a night, 7 days a week, singing the same songs, wearing the same jumpsuits, performing the same moves, year after year. The money kept coming, but the joy was gone. And Hound Dog had become a symbol of everything Elvis resented. He recorded it in July 1956, one take. Spontaneous, raw, fun. It shot to #1, stayed there for 11 weeks, made Elvis a household name, made Parker a fortune. But now, in 1975, it felt like a prison, a reminder of who Elvis used to be, not who he'd become, not who he wanted to be. Every night when the band started those opening notes, every night when the audience started clapping, every night when Elvis had to move his hips and sneer, he felt like a trained seal, performing on command. For fish, for applause, for money he'd never see. Because Parker took half, and taxes took more, and expenses took the rest. Elvis lived at Graceland, a mansion he couldn't afford to maintain, employed a staff of 40 people, supported his father, his girlfriend, his friends, his Memphis Mafia, all dependent on him, all needing him to keep performing, keep singing Hound Dog, keep being Elvis, the Elvis they needed, not the Elvis he wanted to be. So when he saw that set list on July 19, 1975, something snapped. A small rebellion, a tiny act of defiance. I won't sing it. Not tonight, not this time. He knew Parker would come. He always came. He knew there'd be a confrontation. There always was. But he'd never seen Parker do it in front of the band. Never seen him make threats publicly. That was new. That was a line crossed. That was Parker asserting dominance, not just over Elvis, over everyone. The stage manager knocks on the door. 5 minutes, Elvis. Elvis stands. Walks to the mirror one last time, studies his reflection. The jumpsuit weighs 30 pounds, the belt weighs another 5, the cape adds 10 more. 45 pounds of costume, plus the weight of expectation, The weight of legend, the weight of Colonel Tom Parker's empire, all on his shoulders. Charlie Hodge appears beside him. Guitar ready. Boss, we don't have to do this. Elvis looks at him. Yes, we do. We could cancel. Tell them you're sick. Elvis shakes his head. And tomorrow? Next week? Charlie meets his eyes. Same thing. Exactly. Elvis adjusts his belt. Same thing. Forever. The band members file toward the stage. James Burton first. Guitar slung low, Jerry Sheff follows. Bass in hand. Ron Tutt goes to his drums. Glenn D. Harden to the piano. They take their positions. The audience beyond the curtain grows louder. Chanting, Elvis, Elvis, Elvis. They don't know what happened backstage. They don't know about the threats. They don't know about the torn set list. They just want Elvis. The Elvis they remember. The Elvis from the Ed Sullivan Show. The Elvis from the movies. The Elvis who sings Hound Dog. And they're going to get him, because Colonel Parker always wins. The curtain starts to rise, slowly, mechanically. Light floods the stage. The audience erupts, screaming, applauding, standing. Elvis walks onto the stage. The spotlight hits him, blinding, white-hot. He raises his hand. The crowd screams louder. He smiles. The smile they expect. The smile they paid $50 to see. Not a real smile. A performance. Ladies and gentlemen, his voice fills the showroom. Thank you. Thank you very much. The band starts CC Rider. Elvis moves, hips swaying, arms gesturing, every move practiced, every gesture calculated. He sings. His voice is powerful, controlled, professional. The first song ends. Applause. The second song begins. I Got a Woman. Elvis performs. The audience loves it. They always love it. Third song. Love Me. Fourth song. If you love me, let me know. 40 minutes pass. Elvis doesn't think, doesn't feel, just performs. Autopilot, muscle memory, 20 years of repetition. Then Charlie Hodge steps forward, guitar ready. He looks at Elvis, a question in his eyes. Elvis sees it. The moment of truth. Song number 5. Hound Dog. The audience knows it's coming. They always know. Same set list, same order, same everything. Charlie plays the opening lick. Dun 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 dun. Iconic. Unmistakable. The audience erupts before Elvis even sings a word. They know. They've been waiting for this. Elvis stands at the microphone, the spotlight bright on his face. Charlie plays the lick again. Waiting. The audience claps in rhythm. Waiting. Elvis opens his mouth and sings. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. The crowd goes insane, crying all the time, louder. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. People jumping, crying all the time, screaming. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit. Elvis moves his hips. And you ain't no friend of mine? The signature sneer. Every word perfect. Every move exact. Every moment exactly what Colonel Parker demanded. The song ends. The audience gives a standing ovation. 2 minutes of applause. Elvis stands there, smiling, waving, dead inside. After the show, Elvis goes to his suite. 30th floor, Las Vegas Hilton, 3-bedroom penthouse, $10,000 per week. He enters alone, closes the door, locks it, walks to the window, looks down at the city, lights stretching to the horizon. Each light a person, each person free to do what they want, go where they want, be who they want, unlike him. A knock at the door. Colonel Parker's voice. My boy, excellent show tonight. Elvis doesn't respond. I knew you'd make the right choice. Silence. See you tomorrow. Same time. Same set. Footsteps recede down the hallway. Elvis stands at the window, alone, in a city of millions. That night, Red West finds Elvis in the suite. Red has been with Elvis since high school, 21 years. Best friend, bodyguard, brother in everything but blood. He sees Elvis by the window, sees the pain. Boss. Elvis doesn't turn. Red. You okay? Elvis laughs. Not a happy laugh, a bitter laugh. Yeah, Red, I'm great. He gestures to the suite. Living the dream. Red walks closer. We all saw it. What the Colonel did, Elvis finally turns. Yeah? Red nods. That was out of line, even for him. Elvis sits on the couch. He's always out of line. He just usually does it in private. Why'd he do it in front of everyone? Elvis shrugs. Power. Control. He picks up a glass of water, making sure everyone knows who's boss. You could leave him. Elvis looks up. What? Fire him. Walk away. You don't need him anymore. Elvis stares at Red for a long moment. Then he laughs again. That same bitter laugh. Yeah, Red. I could. He sets down the glass. Except I'm $6 million in debt. Red's eyes widen. What? Taxes, expenses, the planes, the cars, Graceland? The staff. Elvis rubs his face. All of it. $6 million. How? Elvis shakes his head. Doesn't matter how. It's there. And the only way to pay it is to keep working. But you're making millions. Elvis's voice hardens. And Parker takes half. Then taxes take 70% of what's left. Then expenses take the rest. He stands, walks to the window again. I'm trapped, Red. He puts his hand on the glass. In a cage I built myself, with help from the Colonel. Elvis nods. Yeah, with help from the Colonel. The two men stand in silence. Outside, Vegas continues, spinning, never stopping, never caring. After a long moment, Red speaks. What are you going to do? Elvis doesn't answer immediately. When he does, his voice is barely a whisper. Same thing I did tonight. He turns to Red. Sing hound dog, smile, and pretend everything's fine. The confrontation on July 19, 1975 was not an isolated incident. It was the culmination of 20 years of tension, 20 years of control, 20 years of resentment building. But what happened after is what matters. Elvis continued performing, night after night, week after week, month after month. The same songs, the same moves, the same smile. But something had broken that night. Something fundamental. The musicians who witnessed it never forgot. Jerry Scheff, the bass player, spoke about it years later. In a 1989 interview, 24 years after the incident, he said, I saw Elvis's soul leave his body that night. He kept performing, but the joy was gone. After that, every show felt like a funeral. James Burton, the guitarist, said in 1995, the Colonel crossed a line. We all knew it. Elvis knew it. But what could any of us do? We had families, mortgages, careers. We needed the work. So we kept playing, and Elvis kept singing, even when it was killing him. Ron Tutt, the drummer, never spoke publicly about it. But in a private letter to his wife in August 1975, he wrote, I don't think Elvis will make it to 50. Not because of drugs or health. Because his spirit is broken. The Colonel broke it, and we watched it happen. He was right. Elvis died on August 16, 1977. 42 years old, 2 years and 1 month after the confrontation. The official cause was heart failure, but those who knew him understood. His heart had been failing for years, not medically, spiritually. In the months after July 1975, Elvis's behavior changed. He became more erratic, more dependent on prescription medications, more isolated. He gained weight. His performances became inconsistent, some nights brilliant, other nights barely coherent. He canceled shows, something he'd rarely done before. Vernon Presley, Elvis's father, tried to intervene in early 1976. He approached Colonel Parker, asked him to reduce Elvis's schedule, give him time to rest, to heal. Parker refused. There are commitments, Vernon, contracts, obligations. We can't just stop. Vernon tried to argue. Parker cut him off. Elvis stops working. We lose everything. The house, the cars, everything. Is that what you want? Vernon backed down. He always backed down. Everyone backed down, except Elvis. Not that night in July 1975. For one brief moment, Elvis stood up, said no, refused to perform, and was crushed for it, publicly, in front of witnesses, as a warning to everyone else. The message was clear. This is what happens when you defy the colonel. This is what happens when you try to be free. This is what happens when you forget your place. And Elvis never forgot again. The irony is that Hound Dog wasn't even Elvis's song originally. It was recorded first by Big Mama Thornton in 1952, a blues song, gritty, raw, sexual, Willie Mae Big Mama. Thornton made it famous in the black community, but it didn't cross over, didn't make white radio. Then Elvis recorded his version in 1956, cleaned it up, made it more palatable for white audiences, and it became his. History forgot Big Mama Thornton, remembered Elvis Presley. She died in 1984, 57 years old, alone, in a boarding house, Los Angeles. She earned $500 total from Hound Dog. Elvis earned millions, and Colonel Parker earned millions more. The song that made Elvis a legend, the song that trapped him in that legend, the song he died resenting, was never even his to begin with. After Elvis died in August 1977, Colonel Parker continued working. He didn't mourn publicly, didn't take time off. Within hours of Elvis's death, he was negotiating merchandising rights, posthumous releases, tribute albums. He told Vernon Presley, "Nothing has changed. We continue as before." Vernon was horrified. "My son just died." Parker lit a cigar. "And his legacy lives on. We have responsibilities." But without Parker's knowledge, things were changing. Priscilla Presley, Elvis's ex-wife, began investigating, looking at contracts, at finances, at where all the money had gone. What she found shocked her. Decades of mismanagement, questionable deals, missing money. In 1980, the Presley estate sued Colonel Parker for fraud, mismanagement, breach of fiduciary duty. The case revealed everything. Parker's 50% commission, his gambling debts that Elvis paid, his side deals that Elvis never knew about, his control that amounted to exploitation. The case was settled out of court in 1983. Parker was removed from any future involvement with Elvis's estate. He received $2 million and lost access to everything else. It was too late for Elvis, but it protected his legacy, his daughter, his music, from further exploitation. Parker died in 1997, 87 years old, Las Vegas, the city he'd controlled for decades. His last words to a nurse, "Elvis will be there, waiting for me." Maybe he believed it, maybe he didn't. But if there's an afterlife, one wonders if Elvis was waiting, and what he had to say. Today, the jumpsuit Elvis wore on July 19, 1975 is in Graceland. Museum display, behind glass, the black suit with gold trim, the eagle spreading its wings. Visitors take photos, touch the glass, marvel at the craftsmanship. They don't know what happened when he wore it, don't know about the confrontation, the threats, the broken spirit behind the sequins. They just see the legend, the icon, the image, which is exactly what Colonel Parker wanted. But the musicians remember, the ones still alive. They gather sometimes, at Elvis memorial events, in Memphis, in Las Vegas. They share stories. Most are happy, funny. Elvis being generous, Elvis being silly, Elvis being human. But sometimes late at night, after a few drinks, someone mentions July 19th, 1975, and the room goes quiet, because they all remember. The night they watched Elvis die a little, 2 years before his actual death. The night they saw what control really means, what exploitation really looks like, what happens when a person becomes a product, and the product becomes more important than the person. Quick thought. Have you ever stayed in something that was destroying you because you didn't know how to leave? Drop a comment. There's a lesson in Elvis's story, not about fame, not about music, about autonomy, about the difference between partnership and ownership. Colonel Parker didn't partner with Elvis. He owned Elvis. He owned Elvis's image, Elvis's time, Elvis's art, Elvis's soul, and Elvis let him. At first because he was young, naive, trusting. Then because he was trapped, financially, contractually, psychologically. The cage had been built slowly, one bar at a time, one contract at a time, one compromise at a time, until one day Elvis looked around and realized he couldn't escape. The door was locked. The key was in Parker's pocket. And the only way out was to keep performing. Keep smiling, keep singing Hound Dog, until his heart gave out, which it did. August 16th, 1977, Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee. Elvis was found in his bathroom, alone, face down, gone. He was 42 years old. He'd been performing for 23 years. Under Colonel Parker's control for 21 years, he'd made hundreds of millions of dollars. He died $6 million in debt. He'd brought joy to millions of people. He died lonely. He'd lived as the king of rock and roll. He died as a prisoner of his own legend. The final cruelty? At Elvis's funeral, Colonel Parker wore a Hawaiian shirt. Bright colors, loud pattern, completely inappropriate. When asked why, he said, "Elvis would have wanted it this way. He wouldn't have wanted us to be sad." But Elvis's friends knew better. Red West said, "The Colonel wore that shirt because he didn't care. Elvis was dead. The cash cow was gone. Why pretend to mourn? Maybe that's harsh. Maybe it's accurate. We'll never know." What we do know is this. On July 19, 1975, Elvis Presley tried to reclaim a small piece of his autonomy, tried to say no to singing one song, one time, and was threatened into submission. Publicly, cruelly, definitively. And from that night forward, something fundamental changed. Elvis continued performing for 2 more years. But the light was gone. The joy was gone. The hope was gone. He sang Hound Dog 312 more times. In Las Vegas, in Lake Tahoe, in Omaha, in Jacksonville, in Indianapolis. Every city, every show. The same song, the same moves, the same trap. Until August 16, 1977, when the trap finally killed him. If you listen closely to recordings from those final 2 years, you can hear it. The performances are professional, technically proficient, but empty. There's a hollowness, a resignation, a man going through the motions, waiting for it to end. Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis's daughter, said in a 2003 interview, "My dad died years before 1977. I just didn't know it yet. I was too young to understand. But looking back, I can see when he left. It was gradual, then sudden. One day he was my daddy. Then he was someone playing my daddy, going through the routines, but not really there. She was 9 years old when Elvis died. But she remembered. The change, the absence, the ghost living in her father's body. The recording of the July 19, 1975 show still exists, in archives, available on bootleg recordings. You can listen to it. Hear Elvis sing Hound Dog that night. It sounds perfect, professional, exactly like it should. But if you know what happened before the show, if you know about the confrontation, the threats, the broken rebellion, you can hear something else, something underneath the performance, a sadness, a defeat, a man singing a song he hates, for people who don't care, controlled by someone who doesn't love him, trapped in a life he can't escape, and it breaks your heart. Because you realize this is the moment Elvis truly understood he'd never be free, never be more than what Colonel Parker made him, never escape the image, the legend, the prison of fame. And he had 2 more years to live with that knowledge, 2 more years of pretending, performing, dying slowly, until August 16, 1977, when his body finally quit, because his spirit had quit on July 19, 1975, the night Colonel Parker threatened him, the night Elvis sang Hound Dog. Against his will, for the last time as a whole person, every performance after was a ghost, going through the motions, waiting to disappear. If there's a legacy to this story, it's not about Elvis's talent, not about his music, not about his fame. It's about the cost of control, the price of being owned, the danger of trusting the wrong person with your life. Colonel Parker wasn't evil in a traditional sense. He didn't hit Elvis, didn't starve him, didn't lock him in a room. He did something worse. He made Elvis dependent, financially, professionally, psychologically. And then he used that dependence as leverage to control every aspect of Elvis's career, to take half of everything Elvis earned, to keep Elvis performing until it killed him. Because as long as Elvis was alive and working, the money kept flowing, and Colonel Parker kept collecting. Even after Elvis's death, Parker tried to maintain control over the estate, over the music, over the image. It took Priscilla Presley years to break his hold, to protect Lisa Marie's inheritance, to preserve Elvis's legacy on Elvis's terms, not Parker's terms. But for Elvis himself, it was too late. He died controlled. He died exploited. He died trapped, a king in name only, a prisoner in reality. Today, if you visit Graceland, you can see Elvis's world. The cars he bought, the jumpsuits he wore, the gold records he earned, the mansion he lived in. You can see success, wealth, achievement, fame. But if you look closer, you can see something else. You can see the bars of the cage, the contracts that controlled him, the schedules that exhausted him, the manager who owned him. And if you listen very carefully in the quiet moments between tour groups, you might hear an echo, a ghost of a voice, singing Hound Dog, one more time, against his will, forever. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. This story matters, not because Elvis was famous, but because the pattern is timeless. How many people are trapped in situations they can't escape? How many people are controlled by someone else's ambitions? How many people are dying slowly, performing lives they never chose? Elvis's story is extreme, but the theme is universal, and the lesson is clear. Freedom is not given. It's protected. Autonomy is not guaranteed. It's fought for. And if you give someone else control over your life, your art, your soul, don't be surprised when they use it. Even if they call themselves your manager, your partner, your friend, control is control. And Elvis Presley learned that lesson the hard way, on a stage in Las Vegas, on July 19, 1975, when he tried to say no, and was told he never could again. If this story moved you, if it made you think, drop a comment, share your thoughts. And if you want to hear more untold stories about Elvis, stories that reveal the man behind the legend, subscribe to this channel. Because unfortunately, they don't make men like Elvis Presley anymore.